Oh, 7 people are on. Wow. Well, before I even start speaking, let me know if you can hear any sound. If StreamYard has fixed the problem from yesterday where I spoke for 5 minutes, happily talking away to myself. I just need a quick yes to say if you can hear me. Okay, we got from Karen, says sounds great, lovely, jubbly. Welcome to the Yorkshire lad. So my story is one which has been told many times on many radio shows that I've done over the years and many events that I've taken part in. My story was a story of a young lad who grew up in a fairly mixed energy of abuse and love. And I posted something this afternoon with regards to, I don't know who she is. It was just on it was on Facebook. Maybe I can show it you. Maybe I can get it up here. Let's have a look. I said, oh yeah, I've got it. So I said, ouch.
Or wound as you.
Oh, yeah.
You meet people on the same level of psychological wound as you.
Oh, yeah.
You also leave people where if you evolve out of that and they haven't been able to.
Wow. So you think we attract people based on our psychological wounds?
100%.
Wow. And as we start to heal and grow, if the other person's not healing and growing, we kind of pull away.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
You meet people on the same level of psychological wound as you.
Oh, yeah.
You also leave people where if you evolve out of that and they haven't been able to.
Wow. So you think we attract people based on our psychological wounds?
100%.
Wow. And as we start to heal and grow, if the other person's not healing and growing, we kind of pull away.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
You meet people on the same level of psychological wound as you.
Oh, yeah.
You also leave people.
Okay, so I said ouch because this lady said 100%. And I'm sorry, I have to call bullshit out when I hear it. Sounds freaking brilliant when somebody wants to leave somebody else. Brilliant way. That's a get out of jail card free. She knows not what she's talking about, unfortunately. That comes from probably psychology. It comes from a written book, but it doesn't come from experience after reading for thousands of people who have been through pain and suffering, who has experienced the pain of suffering of leaving somebody, and reading for somebody who has had to deal with somebody leaving them. There's a lot of this stuff going around, guys, that is very dangerous. That to me was probably one of the most dangerous things that I've heard for a while. There's this idea of like attracts like also is a very for me dangerous thing. Why do I believe like attract isn't always the case? Like attracts like. Your energy attracts other people's energy. It's not true. It's absolutely not true. It's a beautiful sentiment. It feels great. It feels great when you say it, especially if somebody lovely comes into your life. But what about when somebody not so lovely comes into your life? Where does that leave like attracts like? Am I like the abuser? Oh, that I must be like, oh, I must be suffering like that person's suffering. What if somebody just randomly comes into your life in the sense of you've come to learn from them, to grow from them, right? But then you go to her conversation that every 100% of people who come into your life because they come in exactly at the same energy level. But then when you leave, or when somebody leaves, that's because one of you has grown from the other. It sounds brilliant. It sounds really neat. You could put that into a box and pack it away and sell it really well. Some people are going to buy that. A lot of people are going to buy that. So the question is that 100% true? No, it's not. 100% true. It's not 100% true, because there's so many different forms of abuse. There's so many different forms of hurt. There's so many different forms of feelings, of emotions that are involved in so many ways. So you might be attracted to somebody that you loved because your dad was lovely, right? Doesn't mean that you're lovely. Might mean that you were in a bad place, but then you attract somebody that reminds you of somebody. It's not always the fact that you are in pain or you are suffering, and therefore whoever comes into your life will be in the same energy. That's not true. It's just not true. I've met loads of people that was different energies to me, completely. Some really high energy, and I was really low, and vice versa. So, I'm sorry, it just doesn't, you can't wrap it in a box in psychology and psychotherapy. I just call that psychobabble. And I'm not being hurtful to her, because her experience may be very much the reason why she said that, meaning that there's a chance that, I'm not saying she is or she isn't, but I would say, I would kind of put my money on that she's left somebody. She's left somebody, and it's a really good way of making her feel better. A really good way. Well, I'm sorry, but you're not evolving like I am, so I'm leaving you. So that's a good get out clause. At the end of the day, instead of feeling guilty, you use this idea of psychology or psychotherapy as a way of healing. And, it's really good to kind of blame others in a very, very psychobabble way. So, of course, the circumstance where you come together with somebody and all of a sudden you're on a different path. You don't feel the same. This fly loves me today. He's just around me all the time to bother me. Oh, my God. Go somewhere else. What do they say? Fly around poo? Okay. I've whacked it away. It might have an headache now. I don't like killing flies at all. But boy, are they a pain in the ass sometimes. I'm glad I don't live in Africa. Booyaka, booyaka, shak. The jungle is my thief. Iki, iki. I think I've got it anyway. So, yeah, I'd like to just focus on this a little bit.
You meet people on the same level of psychological wound as you.
Oh, man.
So, this week alone, I've met 4 people. So those 4 people that I met, the first one was, let's say, how do I explain how he is? He's on a journey of complete joy at the moment. And he seems to be on a very high level. And I look at myself and think, wow, I wish I was as higher energy as him. So that was the first guy. He was filled with joy, talked about wonderful things, sharing thoughts he had for me, wanting to, give me some hints and stuff. Just a nice guy who was, 66, 67 years old. Just a really nice guy. didn't feel any trauma at all. So he came into my life. So that kind of moves that out of the way. That right. So you might say, yeah, but she means a partner. Okay. Let me tell you, my partner is way ahead of me by, if I was put a scale of 1 to 100, I would put myself on the healing level of healing my past trauma as round about 40. I'm being kind, 40%. I've healed my past trauma, maybe 40%. My partner who I'm with now, I would say she's about 70%. Now, that's being honest. So it just doesn't make sense at all to put it in a box and say, you know, you will attract your partner as exactly the same. It's a very powerful statement, and you'll get a lot of likes and you'll get a lot of followers. And the reason why is because that is a get out of jail card free, because you will listen to that and you will think about it, and then you will all of a sudden look at your partner and think to yourself, I need to get away from this person because I am far more powerful and I am healing my wounds more than they are. So that's a dangerous thing, very dangerous. What about if I said to you that you attract people in your life that help you along your journey and that you help them along their journey, no matter where you are and whatever the experience you go through together, you will experience it. And whatever that is, once you've experienced it, whether it's positive, negative, whether you fix it or you don't fix it, there comes a point where just randomly, you don't have those feelings anymore, and you feel that you need to move on and you want to move on. And that's the way it is. Circumstances can happen. Those circumstances can make it easy for you to move on. And then circumstances, it might not happen and you think, okay, I'm going to have to take the move and move on. And I'm going to look the bad person. I'm going to be the weak person. But at the end of the day, my understanding of reading for thousands of people is that there are patterns, but then that's not 100%. They're just patterns. Like, oh yeah, I saw that here, and oh yeah, there. You can't just say, okay, that's it. This is it. You come together because you both come at the same equal energy. Question 2, why would you come together at the same equal energy? Why is it that you would come together with the same pain and suffering? Why would you? I mean, what would be the purpose of healing of that? Growing together? Were you meant to grow together then? Is that it? Is that the purpose? So you come together in pain and you grow together. Sounds great, doesn't it? Sounds great. Right. The chances of that happening is what? I'd say 1%. The rest of the time, you're both trying to figure out your shit. You're trying to figure out what to do. And most of the time, you both look at each other to try and fix your wounds until you realize that person ain't fixing me. Oh, that person ain't fixing me. And you come to the realization that you either start to work on yourself or you run away and try and find somebody else to fix you. Tell me if I'm wrong. That's my sentiment to that. So coming together, what does that actually mean? You attract each other's pain because of what you're going through and what they're going through. So you attract the same energy, the same pain. You can find similarities in anybody to you. Just like if you talk to that person long enough, you'll find that you'll know somebody who you will know somebody who knows me, and I will know somebody who knows you. So the similarities in life, there's not too many different things that we go through in life. So again,
you meet people on the same level of psychological wound as you.
Oh, yeah.
You meet people on the same psychological wound, right? Do you meet every relationship you've had? Can you honestly say that you've met them on the same psychological wound as you? I can honestly say I've met people more in pain, more in suffering. And I can say I've met people that I've been far worse place than them. Isn't it true, guys, that there is a common theme that we as conscious beings, I'm not talking about monsters. When you meet a monster and a psychopath, that just throws that out of the window. But when we meet people on the same energy, in the sense of we come from the same place, right? What we try and do is we try and see their suffering and we try and help and fix them. And this is another slippery slope. You meet somebody because you want to fix them, right? Well, you're not both on the same energy level there, are you? Because you're here to try and help them. And normally your wounds that you've suffered and you've recognized and you're on a path of healing them, then you try to heal others through your experience. Therefore, the person that come into your life didn't know how to heal. And now you're in the life and you're giving them advice, you're giving them love, you're giving them strength. And then all of a sudden they start to grow and heal. And sometimes when that person grows and heals, guess what? They bog off and leave you for somebody else. That's a good one. But maybe, forget the pain and suffering of that, maybe that was the whole point. Maybe you came together that you gave them the strength to heal, and then your time together was done now because there was kind of I'm not really into agreements, but maybe, just maybe, we're attracted to people that might be able to help us. Maybe be able to help us. But I think I'm attracted more to people that I need to help and heal. And I don't want to do that anymore. I've done it all my life. I just want an easy life. I don't want to have to fix anybody. I don't want to have to repair anybody. I just want to be able to walk this path and enjoy my path very selfishly. And hopefully the person that I'm with also enjoys their life, and that I don't always have to take care of them and muddy color them and help them all the time. I want them to work on themselves. So again, it's a great statement. It's fantastic.
You meet people on the same level of psychological wound as you.
Oh,
The more I hear it, the more I realize, the more I hear it, the more I think this is so wrong. But at first you can listen to it and think, wow, yes. Anyway, let's listen to the rest.
If you evolve out of that and they haven't been able to.
wow. So you think we attract people based on our psychological wounds?
100%.
Wow. And as we start to heal and grow, if the other person's not healing and growing, we kind of pull away.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of pull away if the other person's not healing and growing. That's not true at all. That is not true. So I've been in relationships where my partner didn't heal and didn't grow, and yet I was still there, and I accepted their path. And you can take a horse to water, but you can't make them drink it, right? My partner tries to take me to water because what my partner sees that I need to heal myself that I don't see, that I'm not healing myself neither. So is it a case of we're trying to help each other and show each other because it's so close to us we don't see it? And maybe this is path of life. Maybe everybody who comes into our life is going to show us something that we don't see, or they don't and don't say anything. I think this is too cut and dry. So I give that a 2-star out of 10. I give that 2 ticks out of 10 with that observation. So would anybody like to contradict, or would anybody like to stick their 2 pence in and tell me what they feel? Do you believe what she just said is absolutely 100% correct? And do you feel that what I've said makes no sense at all? I'd like to hear what you feel about that. And the reason why I'm asking that is because you're going to tell me, your answer given your experience. So
on the same level of psychological wound as you.
okay.
Oh, man.
You also
So yes or no? Just give me a yes or no. And you don't have to agree with me at all. I'm not bothered about that. I'm just sharing my experience over thousands of clients that I've sat in front of. And that does not make sense at all. It only makes part sense to a certain story. She, I believe, is telling her story. I don't even know who she is. No idea. And second question as well. We're all abused. Most of us are abused. So, you know, what she's saying is that I feel your abuse, so I want to be with you. Okay, because I would have questioned that. I would have said to her, so can I ask you a question? I attract somebody. I am attracted. What you're saying is I am attracted to somebody on the same level of abuse as myself. Do you really think that I'm looking for somebody who's been abused like me? Or am I going to look for somebody that I feel is filled with joy and happiness? Am I going to look for somebody who's sad and being traumatized? I mean, is that it? Is that the best we're going to get? Because that way of thinking to me is, you know, when you are successful, you receive success. You will have success. I don't think that kind of energy relates to this energy. I just don't see the same energy included in both. When you are on a path of wanting to, you know, maybe let's just say I'm on a journey to create something really special. I want to create something that I feel is going to do really, really well. Am I always going to bring into my family of people who want to work with me and help me as well? Are they going to vibrate at that same frequency? Are they going to vibrate at a different frequency? I'm sat down, and let's just say this isn't always about love. Let's say it's about business. I'm looking for somebody not the same as me, but somebody who's going to perform at a higher level to be able to help in any way they can. I wouldn't be employing somebody who has nothing to offer. I'm looking for somebody who has vitality, creativity, experience. I'm looking for many things when I'm looking to employ somebody. If I'm finding somebody who I want to bring into this new venture I've got, who's sad, broken, upset, not feeling well, I'm not going to bring them into my energy. So because I don't want to feel bad, I don't want to try and help this person when I'm trying to build something. So again, you know, it wasn't said whether it was business. It wasn't said whether it was you know, personal relationship, but it should have been said. By that, in that token, it was a ballpark message. It was like, this is it. Well, this is it for what? Is it for everything? Is that what you're saying, for everything? We attract everybody in our life to how we're feeling. So I kind of really struggle with that sentiment. So let me see what you say. Well, that's a good point. Okay, I can't see anything there. But anyway, that's just I try to involve people every now and again, but I don't really see anything jumping out at me here. I don't know. I just get a lot of yeses. Okay, so you're. All right, guys. I'm not sure that. Anyway, I just wanted to share that with you. I thought that was kind of fascinating. So today's been an interesting day again. We've been extremely busy. So let's have a look where we are. Where did I ask you to send it? Okay, there. Let's have a look what it says here. Community. Okay, so we have 11. Right, I'd love to hear more about some of your healing sessions. Okay, I asked people to send me some content of what you'd like me to talk about. Group meditation. I think I answered somebody about that. I try my best to do. At the moment, I'm just feeling a bit groggy, as you can hear in my voice, because I went to England and I was in the that terrain of everybody being a bit sick. So I always get that kind of cleansing, detoxing when I come back from the UK with the flights as well. So I'm not up for meditation or any kind of healing at the moment. When I do healing, it's when I'm like 100%. Take us off this fly. Seriously? Come on, give me a break, man. I should be a lot more calm with flies, but yeah, they're landing in my ear. Okay, maybe one day I'll do walks. Maybe it's not something that I'd like. I'm up for that much, taking you on walks on the beach with Lily. It's not really. It just doesn't feel me. There's some people are great at that. A reading on the world leaders, not something I really want to do. There's loads of psychics out there who do that every day. Show us more of the beautiful countryside. Again, it's not really something that I want to do, go around walking. There's loads of people who do that on internet. There's a crystal I would like to talk about, purple scatopolite. Okay, I'll look at that in the next few days if I can. Cooking would be super duper. I'd suggest patina for that. Hey, Mark, cheers from Australia. What about a giveaway? That's what I answered. I do giveaways every day, all the time for people who can't afford. And if you can't afford, go to info@markbajerski.com and say, look, I haven't got anything, any money. Is there any way Mark can put me on a list and maybe I could get a gift? I do that all the time, guys. We do that all the time. Your contents. Oh, well, thank you very much. Nice, kind message there. So nothing really major to talk about today and yesterday, to be honest. And the reason why is because I don't know why, but I've been on the transformation of not getting involved in too much crazy stuff and not being pulled into it. So I'm kind of here thinking, well, what have I got to talk about? And there's so much to talk about with, I could start to talk about negative energy, cleansing aura spray, which is doing really well and people are loving it and it's fantastic. But then people think I'm talking about sales and then I get a bit put off because I don't always want to talk about sales. Talk about people's path and their journey and where they are and what they're on. I've talked about that now in over 2,500 videos on markbajerski.com. I've sometimes done readings with these cards for people who really want to know what their best crystal is. And I tried that for a while and people enjoyed that. But I've done that too much now. So I'm a bit tired of that, really. So that's why I asked for new info, what you'd like me to talk about. I'm not particularly a gossip. I'm not really bothered about mainstream. I'm not certainly anybody who talks about politics because I don't believe in it and I don't fuel it. Sometimes point out the ridiculousness of politics and the system. So I have no time for any of that. There's so much injustice, so much lies and manipulation. But I do like to talk about crystals. But when I talk about crystals, then people think I'm trying to sell crystals, which it's a challenge to get the balance. But I absolutely love talking about how to heal from past trauma. And if there's one thing I'm pretty good at is understanding past trauma and how to deal with it on levels which sometimes are very difficult for people to see. And the way I try and share that is by stories and by giving people information that makes them, they call keywords that trigger them to be able to look at their life and start to think about it and then go down the path of their healing. So there is no path of healing per se. There is no guidebook in this world that can help you heal, because you're an individual. You're a unique, I don't want to say expression, but you are a unique energy to anybody else. And what you've experienced, whether you've got a twin sister or whether you've got a partner, your experience is different, and your healing comes at a certain point, and it will be a very, very unusual, very rare, very unique healing form. It could come from somebody verbally. It could come from somebody's healing hands. It could come from just a moment of what I call download. So you channel something, or it could come by way of putting something into your mouth. That is a healing that will heal you. That could be Mother Earth's healing herbs or roots or something that then triggers you to start your healing path. You could visually see somebody doing something that they shine a light so bright that you're so impressed by that light that you start to embrace that light and try to mimic it in some way or try to replicate it. So there are so many ways we can heal. Another good way of healing is time. And as you move forward, the healing process, let's say, of grief tends to, feel less and less in time as time moves on. For some people, it doesn't. Some people lost somebody that they love. It could have been an animal. It could have been a human being. And it could be 20 years. It could be 50 years, and they still feel that pain. So everybody heals differently. Everybody suffers differently. Everybody's emotions are different. Nobody is on the same level as somebody else at all. No such thing, because each person is individual. That's why when I used to do healing sessions, I never used to think, oh, you're like that person. Might be a little bit, but not exactly. Nobody is exactly like anybody else. So how we heal is very unique. So as a healer, when I'm talking online to you guys, I normally find myself talking about a wider range of possibilities so that I can hopefully touch upon something that you go, oh my God, I know what he means. But then that subject matter, it could be that's 30 people are listening and they all touch upon something that was completely different what came out of my mouth. So at the end of this conversation today, there might be 2 people who got something from this. And then if you ask them what they got from it, where they feel that there's something just happened and something, oh, that's just made me think about that, that leads you on to your next part of your journey, will be completely different. So I mentioned this as the book. You read a book and something will blow you away. And somebody else will read the book and something else will blow them away. And you'll look at what they read and you won't be blown away by what they read. That won't mean anything. You go, oh yeah, won't mean anything. And then you show them what you were blown away by. That was an epiphany. And they'll go, oh yeah, like what they're talking about. And the reason for that is because at that very moment, what I read was what I needed. That was what my consciousness is shaking me, saying, look, it's that. And you feel that energy. Your consciousness led you to that moment of reading that particular passage, or that, I don't know, it might have been a chapter, or it might be just one line. But your consciousness shakes you at the moment of that one line. Now, you can come back to that one line a year later, and I promise you it'll mean nothing, just like that person reading it, it meant nothing. Why is that? Because there was a healing process that needed to take you to your healing path, and that was it at that given moment. So we do come across people that help us in that moment on our healing journey. Why is that? Because it could be a mirror image at that moment. It could be somebody who has a piece of information that might be able to help us. And I truly believe when we meet people, Either one of us has information that is able to help us along our journey. It's not that we're both suffering at the same pain, because if that's the case, then when we meet somebody and we vibrate at the same frequency, well, maybe what's the point? Because if we both vibrate at the same frequency, how will we be able to help each other? Get it? What sense does that make? We come together because we're both in the same pain. Well, that means you're stuck together, and what's the point of coming together? So it makes more sense to me, if I meet you, I may have something that might be able to help you along your journey, and vice versa. That makes more sense than saying that. Like, I'm attracted to you because maybe there might be something just like that book that I need to know and understand to grow. Again, that's not 100% accurate. It's only part of a journey. So what I said is that what she said is right, but only partly right. And there's so many partly rights that make up this world and why we come together and meet each other. We might come together to have a child. That might be the only sole purpose of why we came together. And that's why a lot of people who come together have a child and can't stand each other. And yet they still had this child. And you ask them, why did you have a child then? Don't know. No clue. Should you, if you now know each other, would you have had a child? No, I would have never had a child with them. So the point being is you had a child for a reason. And that reason is so many things. It's so many reasons. So again, I don't like to put everything in a neat box, and people want you to do that. People want you to put it in a neat box like that so you can wash your hands of somebody and walk away and say, well, the reason why I walked away is because they weren't growing and I have grown. Well, okay, that's a bit cruel, isn't it? I don't know. It's all as it should be, I guess. But it's interesting. It really is. There seems to be a lot of ego these days now, more ego in conversation. It's almost like people want to be right all the time. It doesn't feel these days like people are willing to be wrong. It's like the worst thing in the world is for somebody to be wrong. And I'm wrong every day. I like, oh my God. And, you know, you probably know this more than me, but there is no real such thing as wrong and right. It's just seeing something and thinking, wow, that's right. And then again, next year you look at it and it's not right anymore. So was it right to begin with? No, it was only right for the moment. So I don't see things as black and white and right and wrong, but I do see people who are not willing to, you know, move on and accept that things change and the universe changes and your breath changes, your heart rate changes, your blood pressure changes, your thoughts and your feelings and Mother Earth and the vibration, everything changes. And yet the brain tries to keep us in this idea of that everything is this is it and that's it. And no, it isn't. And that's why people fight all the time. I like people who say, you know, my thought process has changed from last time. That to me is far more digestible. I think that's why science has shot itself in the foot. I think that's why those that claim to understand our history shoot themselves in the foot. There should be a disclaimer to everything. This is what I believe the world is at the moment, but I'm not saying it is. This is my conclusion, but I think my conclusion could change in time. If you look at people who've studied ancient, whatever it may be, it could be, I guess, Egypt, and they've looked at the Sphinx and they said, this is it. And then you realize it isn't it. And then that person feels stupid because they've said, this is my book. This is how it works. And this is how it is. And this is how it always will be. And then they'll fight tooth and nail to say, my observation, my belief is right. Well, it might not be right. And then you look freaking stupid. So I wrote 2 books. I wrote them in a way that was merely about experience and my experience. I haven't said in any of my books what is right is right. This is how it is. I've never said this is how the world works. This is how the spirit world works. I say this is my experience and what I feel the spirit world is at this moment. But my observations change all the time. I had this observation at one time that in a healing circle, if you create it like the shaman creates it, and I used to watch many shamans create circles, that it might be a circle in a room that they created the whole room, but I watched how they prepared it and I learned and listened, and I then started doing it myself. And I learned from my experience that the way a certain shaman would work would be different from the way I worked because it didn't feel right to me. So I would change it slightly to try and get the energy the way I wanted it. So after creating that circle, people used to come into that circle. I'd invite them in one at a time. And I would often see the attachments leave them. They would just go, and they would go either where they were sat or they would just go, disappear. Nothing would be able to come into the circle. So as I went on for 2 decades, I used to say to people, what I try and do is create a circle that no dark entity or energy can come in. I want that person to be healed when they come in. And I used to say, it's never happened. It's never happened that anything has ever come into the circle. What normally happens is that we are pulling up roots that have been long set inside the body, normally from the back, and we pull them out. And that's not entity. That is trauma that has caused a lot of suffering. So we pull them out and we clear them, but any negative entities are outside. They've gone and left them. So when they come in, they get a healing session straight away. Now, the last time I did a ritual, which was the cleansing of these very painful situations in people, I did the same thing. I was exhausted, but I created this circle. It was on the last night of the retreat in Bali, and I created the circle, and I thought I did it perfectly well. And then this lady from Korea came in, and I realized that I was battling something that was alive, and it was inside her. So I was shocked because I believed wholeheartedly that nothing can come into the circle. That doesn't matter how powerful it was. It can't come into the circle because I've created this energy that it just can't come in. But this lady from Korea brought in something with her, and we all experienced it. All 23 of us experienced it. And there was a lot of screaming. There was a lot of noise. There's a lot of, I asked everybody to help clear whatever it was. And in the end, we cleared it. We managed to clear this entity which was in her. And the lady has changed. She changed a lot through the next morning. She was a different energy. Point being is that my understanding, if I would have written a book and said that nothing can come into the circle if you create the circle. Now, the argument could be I might not have done the circle well enough. I might not have been strong enough to create that circle. But I actually said to myself, maybe they can come in. Maybe there is entities that are strong enough to can come in. As far as shamans are concerned, this is from shamans that I've worked with. You should never leave a circle until the shaman has finished the circle and done the closing ritual. Okay. I found that strange because one of my friends left halfway through a ritual night, and he said to the lady who was organizing it, I cannot guarantee her health and well-being. And I said to the lady, don't tell this lady that. Don't mention it. Because he told her to obviously tell her, you've left and I can't guarantee your health because I would do a closing ceremony so you will all be protected. And I said to the lady, please don't tell her that, because I realized that by way of whether it was ego, I don't know, it could have been ego, but by way of this lady telling her, she could then start to fear, and then that fear would obviously bring forward something really bad. So she didn't tell her, and my friend was fine. Point being is that the fact that you create a circle and you believe wholeheartedly that nothing can come in, I have a different interpretation now. I am not 100% sure if that is true, because I experienced something different. So I believed wholeheartedly that nothing could come in, and then I've been proven wrong, right? Not that I'm saying I was right to begin with. What I'm saying is that up till this moment, I have never experienced at all a single time that I created these circles that anything came in. But now I would say, if somebody said to me, is it true that if you do a correct circle and you put the energy in and you do what you would do, is it true that nothing can come in? I would say now I am not 100% sure that that is the truth, because I've experienced something different. So my point is, when you write a book, you write it in a way that says, this is my belief thus far. Now, this is a good thing for all of you guys. Don't ever say you know something. Just say that this is what I believe and this is my experience at this moment. But we don't know what's going to happen in the future. So here I am. I go down to a place. I mentioned it before, not so long ago. And I went into this restaurant and I felt weird. Something was weird. My partner felt it were weird. Anyway, we're talking with these people because they came up to us and then they started mentioning it was weird. And then we started laughing and said, yeah, we felt the same thing. They went, oh my God, how do you know? And then we said, well, it's kind of the work we used to do. And then we struck up a conversation. They asked us, how can you heal it? I said, from my experience, if you can close up this place and you can get everywhere, then sage definitely helped and worked for me every time. Never really had an issue after I sage properly, but you need to sage it properly. Now, I was told when I gave the sage to this beautiful young Polish man that he'd saged it, and he saged it as I said. Okay, so when we went back and I said, is everything okay now? And he said, no. I'm like, wow. So there's still problems. Yeah. The chandelier fell down, smashed. All the music system has blown. Somebody has left because they're sick and they can't come back again because of the energy. And I'm like, wow. So this is interesting. I've never heard this before. In the 2 decades of working, I've normally when you sage properly, it's gone. The entity can't stay. So again, we are now at a position that we have to rethink the path of healing. We have to understand it again. So what's going on? Could it be that we have now a different energy in this world? Could it be that CERN has opened portals and the energy is changed and entity is becoming far more heavier, more powerful, and we're not able to do what we did before, and we have to rethink and work on a way to try and find new ways of healing the issues and the problems and clearing them. So whenever you introduce something to the world and it's brand new, and when you open up portals, when you find new ways of causing suffering and pain to people, when you inject people with things that are brand new, you're looking at a completely different frequency and energy. And those energies are brand new. Those energies need to be understood. And we don't have the answers. And I was one of very few who was brave enough to say that my healing work doesn't work on people who have been jabbed up to this moment, because I've tried and they've come back and told me things like, what? You don't feel any better? No. Wow. That's the first time. Am I going to better not say anything? Don't talk about it. No. I was brave enough to talk about it. Imagine somebody, right, who's a mechanic who can't fix cars anymore, and that's his job. Imagine that. Well, that's what I did. I held my hands up and said, you know, I don't have the answer to this because I've tried. I worked on over 100 people who were jabbed, and normally online, no problem. I can still come through and still heal you, and everything should be fine. You know, my past record was pretty cool. You can ask thousands of people after a healing session online, they'd go, I feel great, everything's fine. And then they get on with their life, or they come here and I give them a healing session, gone, don't see them again for a year. And they look, or 2 years, or I might see them in 5 years, like now, and say, I remember when you gave me a healing session and it changed my life. I was healed. And like, okay, brilliant. So it worked. I'm not going to lie to you guys to say, oh, I'm still a brilliant healer. I'm not going to say, no, I worked on people and they were saying, Mark, I still feel bad. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, you know, wow, there's no ego there. I'm like, wow, really? Oh my God. So let's talk about this. Let's tell people that, you know, please don't take the jibby jab, guys, because even healers are struggling to heal people. Now, that's my experience. You guys might be healers and saying, hey, I've got some great, I'm healing some people like who've had the jab and it's working and it's brilliant. Tell me. I haven't had many healers come to me and tell me that they've got their healing is really working and it's fixing people, because I'd share that with the world. Tell me, explain what you're doing that is helping these people. Where are you going on the body? What are you doing? What are you feeling? Tell me how you are healing people from the jibby jab and the poison that's inside them, that is causing blood clots, that is causing myocarditis, that is causing tinnitus, that is causing major issues of a disconnect to your consciousness, to the spirit world. Tell me. Let me know. I'm hearing silence. I'm hearing crickets. So I'm just being honest. Now, I did go to a place a few months ago, and I would not have done this, but I did it because I feel I owe it to this person because they were good to me, really good to me. So I flew over and I did 3 days of healing on this person who was, let's just say, in a very, very bad state. Did they have injections? Yes, they did. I came back after the 3 days of doing healings and I was violently sick. I was very ill. I think I'd spent 7 years working on myself, and them 7 years had gone. They'd gone. I'd gone back to the way I was before on health. So that was really shocking for me, really shocking. So again, I think I told the truth. I think what I said was correct. You would ask me, how is that person doing now? That person, up to this moment, as far as I know, is now no longer suicidal. I've seen photos of her and she seems fine, and she sent me a message saying she's a lot better, so I'm glad of that. But that might be a contradiction to what I've said. You can't heal somebody. Maybe I did. Maybe after a few years, then whatever was in their body is not as potent and it's diluted a little bit, and maybe the healing is taking place. Again, I don't have the answer of yes or no. I may seem to be contradicting myself, but I don't care, because everything that I share with you is the truth. So like I said, when I first started doing the healing, when everybody was taking it, it was awful. It was literally awful. It was like my whole life was ending. What I was looking and watching people doing, and I had this awful feeling inside my gut, thinking what they've done was so wrong to themselves. That was my own expression, and I was screaming from the rooftops, telling people to wait, please, just wait. If people would have just waited right now, if they'd have waited till now, they would have said thank you. They would have said, thanks, Mark. I'm glad I waited. Because guess what's just happened to, and just guess who's just suddenly died. Guess what that young boy's just happened to, and guess what's happened. Oh, and guess what happened to, Moderna or Pfizer is saying that, oh yeah, there is links now. So thank God I didn't do it. But they didn't. They went on fear. Most 99% went on fear. Only a few of you guys could feel it and know it in your heart that it was wrong and there was something not right. You broke through the fear and you listened to your consciousness that told you, I don't need this. I'm strong enough. And this doesn't make sense. None of this makes sense. What is happening doesn't make sense. I can hear my little baby walking down the road. My little doggy has barked up the road and he's coming down the road with my partner, and that's unexpected. So I'm going to go now. But that's great. I even know the sound of my own dog. It's amazing how you recognize the sound of your own dog. Not all dogs bark the same, guys, eh? So anyway, that's my chat today. It's nearly an hour. I hope you enjoyed this chat. There's nothing enlightening about this chat today. It's just a conversation. And I'm wishing you a lovely day, whatever you're doing. And keep your thoughts coming. If you have any ideas of conversations that you would like me to look deep into, to do a deep dive on, then let me know. And let's see if we can do that. Until then, I wish you a lovely day. Take care of yourselves. Thank you so much for supporting markbajerski.com and buying your authentics, crystals, incense, and oils. I hope they're making a difference in your life. Hello, sweetie pie. Goodbye, everyone.